Hello tanks and tankettes, and welcome to a viewer replay of the new ELC. I'm not going to say the new and improved ELC because improved is very much a matter of opinion, but it's certainly different. Now it's got some good points and bad points going for it under the 918 rejig. Good points, it no longer has to see higher tier tanks. It's got regular matchmaking along with the lights, although some people might consider that a bad point because you don't get to troll the higher tiers anymore. It still gets to have its 90mm gun, and it's not got a lot less pen than the BDR. 120 pen is pretty respectable, and 240 damage is very respectable considering it's a light tank. It actually now gets the option of, if you choose the 75mm, which is kind of viable. I've tried one or two games with it myself. If you have that mounted, you can turn the turret all the way around, which makes fighting other light tanks with that gun a lot easier. But you're not going to be able to have the impact that you have with this 90mm. So those are all good points. Bad points, it's less faster than it used to be, or maybe it would be more accurate to say it's got less oomph. It has a worse horsepower per ton ratio, so it isn't quite the mad little race car that it once was, but it's still fairly fast. It's still fairly nippy. So yeah, it's different, and I think the matchmaking has made more of a difference to it than perhaps the changes to the stats of the tank itself. But it's still playable. It's still potentially quite fun, I think. It's not going to be quite the madcap little machine it once was. So this is All In before Artie, which is a rather involved name. I think we'll just call him All In. And as you can see, he's got 3 marks on the gun barrel, and he's got food consumable, and I'm going to guess a very good crew as well. This is somebody that probably played the ELC quite a lot before the changes, and this was maybe him taking it out for a spin to see what it was like after the changes. So it's a tier 7 game, but it's the new matchmaking. In fact, a tier 6 game rather. So it's 357, and the effect of that is that there's a lot of tanks around that don't have that many hit points, well, including himself, but that 90mm becomes very, very effective. The bad news is, however, his team seems to be in complete disarray. And having taken that big hit from the Streets of Ireland there, he can't really afford to take many more hits than that because, like I say, he doesn't have a lot of hit points, and he certainly doesn't have a lot of armour. So this is where that 90mm is going to come in very, very useful. The fact that it has far less penetration than it used to. I mean, in the context of it having regular tier 5 matchmaking, that doesn't really matter. 120 pen is still pretty good for a tier 5. Considering that it's a 90mm with 120 pen, yeah, that's really not a lot to complain about. I mean, there are tanks at tier 5 that have better penetration than that. Most of them are tank destroyers, but some of the heavies do as well. But considering how fast this thing is, still, you know, maybe not as fast as it used to be, but it's still pretty damn nimble, then it's like the gun's really nothing to complain about. I think if they had taken the 90mm off, that would have just been sad, but there was such an outcry about that they decided against it, and I think a lot of veteran ELC players that have decided to maybe stick with it will probably be quite glad that they did. So he's trying to help out this 82, stop him getting rushed a bit, maybe. I mean, it was sort of even on points on tanks for a little while, but the enemy team is now well ahead. However, if he can get a couple more one-shot kills like that, and he has the time to reload in between hits, then maybe this is still doable. Maybe. So there's a couple of tanks cowering at the cap. Maybe that's being a little unfair, but anyway, there's a couple of tanks taking cover at the cap anyway. He's got the 82 next to him, and then behind him, well, ooh, headset, I'd almost certainly seen him. Yeah, there we go. There's a lot of tanks on the high ground, but a lot depends on how they approach this. And having swept forward so decisively to start with, they now seem to be kind of derping a bit. So that's another kill, that's 4 kills. They just lost the Covenanter that was the last tank on the high ground over to the east. So the enemy tanks, I mean, if they can get the spotting, potentially they can sit here and just pick these tanks apart. Yeah, there we go, there goes the Hetzer. So there's only 3 of them left now. There's, what, twice as many enemies? But, well, he's still in an ELC after all, so this is the time to get mobile. He knows he can get up here without getting spotted, so if he can get another free kill, that would be really nice. So there's another Swedish tank, and potentially it's a one-shot, but he doesn't quite aim long enough and it goes into the ground. Surely this guy, surely he's going to be now forewarned and he's going to turn his turret around and shoot all in. Nah, he's just going to sit there and let all in kill him. This, however, is dangerous. The enemy Type 64 decides to come for him and almost has him with the ram. All in just dodges out the way in time. However, with just getting the reload back and those quick reflexes, despite taking another hit, he survives. So that was the last truly dangerous tank, but he is now on very low health, and if the Lux pops up next to him or something else takes an interest, then he could be in trouble. Fortunately, the Lux is all the way over there though, and that means that he's now got the high ground himself without really fear of getting spotted. The 82, meanwhile, is just absolutely soldiering on. Like, the 82, under the right circumstances, can be pretty tough. And he's just managed to hold his ground and weather the storm, and I don't think All In honestly could be doing this without him. But as it is, we've now evened things. It's 2 versus 2. One of the final tanks hasn't actually been spotted yet, though, the T-34. But there he is, so he's not AFK, it's just he was at the back the entire time. And it's only now that he's been spotted by their team. So this is a 2-shot kill, maybe, if you can get the hits. There we go. So there's one, that was actually a high roll. If you can get another one, that's an easy 1-shot. And the same for the Stuart. So yeah, this 90mm gun, it's still pretty powerful. It has a punch that very few other guns at this tier have, so I think the ELC still is a little bit special in that regard, but it's maybe just not quite as special as it once was, once upon a time. So the Stuart is the obvious target. There we go, if you can get him. I'm not quite sure why he can't see the T-34, but I think there might be a tree obscuring his vision. If his binoculars can maybe pick him up. It's basically the last guy left to get. I think, however, it's the 82 that spots him. And unfortunately his gun trolls him a little there as he tracks the T-34. But this means that he at least gets to have the assistance damage from the 82 finishing him off. So, despite not getting that final T-34, that was still a Radley-Walters game. And an All-X medal. And a high caliber. And an ace tanker. So, not bad. Not bad at all, and I think even though it was a little bit hairy at moments, he was able to be quick thinking enough to take advantage of the situation. And of course that 82 being alive absolutely helped him out as well. But as you can see, yeah, he definitely outstripped the rest of his team for damage done by a fair margin. Only a couple of tanks came even half as close. And the rest of it was basically all him. So 8 kills and something like, what, a third of the total damage done to the enemy team were just done by him with the 90mm, even with that long reload, and even with that still rather derpy French gun handling. So, yeah, the ELC, it can still be quite potent. And it can still be quite a lot of fun, I think. It's just... it's not going to quite be the same as it was, but I've been playing World of Tanks long enough that, you know, I've been here before. I remember the old T50-2 and the heartbreak when that disappeared, but I don't know. I might have to try and get back into light tanks a bit more myself now, because there's so many lines that I just never really touched before. And now that they get regular matchmaking, well, things could be a little bit easier and nicer to try out. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, you can leave any comments below, you can hit the like button, you can sub to my channel if you haven't already, and as always, stay tuned for more.